Hi, this is Professor Nugent. I just wanted to take some time to go over the syllabus. This is MBA 512, Business Planning and Strategic Management here at the University of Stony Brook, College of Business. Um, Now, during this class, I'm going to be recording a series of video lectures. The video portion will be of my desktop, not of me personally, which may be a good thing, depending on how you look at it. Uh, this is the first of a series of different lectures I'm going to post, throughout the abbreviated session we have. And I realize that this is not a 15-week course, so I have to modify the way I do things to make it fit within the time period we have, so that you have a good chance of succeeding in the class and I can accomplish what I think is most important in a reasonable amount of time given our schedule. So I bear in mind I'm not trying to cram in a 15-week course into an abbreviated session. I'm specially designing this class only to be taught online in an abbreviated session, um, specifically for students who may uh, be working or going away during the breaks and off the fall and spring semesters. So this is, sort of a unique class. And hopefully if this experience goes well for everybody and the evaluations show that the class was useful, we'll do more of these in the future. But right now, let me just go over the syllabus. And keep in mind, these are not professional recordings. These really are just sort of how I would talk in the classroom setting, but I'm just sitting in front of my PC. So if I make a mistake, I'm not going to go back and correct it. It's not going to be perfect, so just bear with it. I mean, really, what can you do? Okay, so uh, now I would advise you read this document, but I'm going to go through it with you because I think he needs a little personal touch here, and I like to explain a few things. Now, when you do an online class, there's asynchronous and synchronous. I realize that people may be in different time zones. People may have different work schedules. So the majority of this class is asynchronous, meaning that I'm going to provide videos, documents, lectures, MP3s, assignments that you can do at any time during a 24-hour period or even a 48-hour period. So when you have the free time, you're going to work on this stuff. Um, but you have to connect to Blackboard, and I am going to set up some discussion boards, and I want you to at least check into Blackboard 4 days a week during this abbreviated period. See what I post as questions and see other students' responses, read them, and reply yourself. Now, we'll talk more about that later. Synchronous part of the class is I am going to hold some online sessions using Stony Brook Connect or SB Connect, and 2 times a week, one during the day from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and one at night from 8 to 9 p.m. These are voluntary optional online sessions where I will answer questions, talk to you about the work, the concepts. It's sort of like, think of it like office hours. So I want to be there in real time for students who, want to chat about things and want to give me suggestions or just kind of talk about things. And it's going to be an environment where we can all join together and talk to each other and sort of, get to know each other a little bit. And I hope you utilize those sessions. The course description, companies, of course, have to have a strategy. And a manager needs to be aware of how a company's strategy changes, why it's important for a company, and how the company's goals are met. So this class is really just to look at the basics of corporate strategies, some new ideas and strategies, and how companies can really utilize them to, maximize shareholders' wealth, owners' wealth. Okay, so let's talk about the learning goals. I want you to gain understanding of strategic planning, things that companies should be doing, how to think in analytical terms, how to develop some analytical and planning tools to facilitate corporate strategy. I want to explore the different groups of people who have an interest in the business and what a business does and how strategy fits into that. how success of a business is measured, um, the key strengths, how to identify key strengths of businesses, how to develop, maintain a core competency, a competitive advantage in business in different industries. Um, and let's look. I want to look at factors that are going to be critical to how companies succeed, and to look at companies that have failed, companies that have succeed, opportunities in today's marketplace, threats, things that we have to deal with that maybe 5 years ago, 2 years ago, we didn't deal with. So that's a lot of goals. How are we going to accomplish these learning goals? Well, bear in mind that this is an online class, so there's a certain amount of tools we can use. One thing, of course, is the textbooks, which I picked these textbooks um, a number of years ago, and I'm still using them. I like them because they're mass published books, so their prices are affordable, generally less than $20 for each book. Because I understand, the costs of classes are out of control. The textbook costs, and I'll be talking about textbook publisher strategy later in the course. But the textbooks are an important part, and they're interesting textbooks. They're easy to read, and they really do encapsulate the flavor of the course. So that's going to be a main tool. And I'm going to outline later the chapters we're going to cover. I'm also going to be using an online business computer simulation that focuses on strategy. And it's called the Zoom simulation. We're going to be working on this. Uh, the simulation does a really good job of helping students understand or formulate strategies, develop them, execute them, implement them, and then evaluate. So we're going to be competing in a strategic marketplace based on selling automobiles. Also, I'm going to have a series of 5 case studies that are real world examples of strategies. Now, these case studies I created just recently, so they're all very current and topical, and I think they'll lead to a lot of good discussion and understanding. Now, class time. Since there is no physical classroom, our class time is going to be spent, of course, covering the information in the textbook, and I'm going to be using discussion, case studies, and other current events. I'll wrap into a series of discussion board questions, recorded video lectures, sort of like what I'm doing right here, um, PowerPoints, uh, and other links and media that I'll use to try to create a classroom environment, including giving you classroom time to work on the simulation. Now, office hours, I talked about this earlier, we're going to use the SB Stony Brook Connect for office hours. And let me show you basically how that's going to work. And what's great about Stony Brook Connect, it's built into Blackboard, it's free to students, and you just have to click on the SB Connect button on the Blackboard menu, which I'm going to show you in 1 second. Okay, so here's the Blackboard environment for a course. I'm just setting the course up. I'm not completely finished. But here's this button called Stony Brook Connect Room. When we click that button and you log in with your Stony Brook net ID, of course, and I guess you agree to their terms, and they take you to the Stony Brook Connect site. It's through Adobe, so you need to use a PC or a MacBook, or can't really do it on an iPad or iPhone or anything like that, I don't believe. And this is the environment it creates, and right now I'm the only one in the room. That's me up there. And here I could say, what I want to share. I can put in my computer screen, different documents, a whiteboard. We have a chat area. Let's put a chat in there where we could chat back and forth. There are notes to share. I can press this button to talk. We have also, I can create a discussion area where you'll hear my voice up here, or I can initiate a camera. We could talk. I can post notes here. We can poll the class. I have a collaboration section where sort of like a whiteboard, where on this whiteboard I can draw and I can make notes. I gotta work on my drawing here. It's not so great. I'll make you a little Pac-Man smiley face. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So we have a lot of different tools in here. And please choose, let's see, locations. All right. All right. So I can share different things in the environment. Here I'm sharing the syllabus. I guess there's documents I could load up. So I haven't used Stony Brook Connect that much, but we'll create a sort of office hours online environment here twice a week. That's optional, not mandatory, because we'll see how this works, and I'm going to probably integrate it more heavily in future classes. But right now, I was afraid to do 100% of all the lecturing through Stony Brook Connect because I've heard mixed things about it. But we're going to work with this for the office hours, and I think it's going to work out well. We'll see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to the syllabus and talk about the textbooks. Textbook 1 is Kellogg's on Strategy. It's an excellent, excellent book. It's been out for a number of years. It gives a really great framework in a condensed, to the point writing style. So it's not going to be a 500-page, $200 book you have to buy. It's basically a $20 book that covers all the main elements of strategy that any textbook would cover, but does it in a very easy to follow and understand way. And I just absolutely love this book, and I'm going to be developing a series of video lectures, sort of like this one, on every chapter in this book, and we're going to be working on that. The second book is Blue Ocean Strategy, which is new, progressive thinking on strategy and what companies should really be doing to succeed. Now, I am going to create, of course, some lectures on the Blue Ocean Strategy and go over my PowerPoints and things. But I also have a wonderful 6-part MP3 lecture series on the Blue Ocean Strategy that is very, very good. So you're going to be two different elements on that book, and plus the book's also usually under $20. I think you will enjoy reading it. I found it to be the most fascinating look at strategy and just very relevant to today's marketplace. So those two exciting books. The assignments, I'll post all the assignments on Blackboard. Now, let's see if I can get back to Blackboard. Let's see, okay. So under the assignments tab, I'm going to post, the different assignments, and we're going to have a series of case studies here. I'm going to have an online exam, and it's going to be, the case studies are not that terrible. I have put together some articles and some questions, and I'm just looking for not the most elaborate responses, but a response that will let me know that you read the articles and you put some thought into it, and even maybe did a little research on your own, came up with a couple of things to add overall. And then after every case, that the due dates in each case, I will go back in and just, create a video lecture, discuss what everybody said, and just talk about it, give some general feedback. Oh, here we go. Blackboard is slow as usual. Now, okay, so one of the assignments is discussion boards, which is going to be 15 points. I'm going to talk about that later. But we also have case study 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which I just recently created. Case study 1 is going to be on Cisco. Case study 2 is on Netflix. Very, very topical. Case study 3 is on McDonald's. And case study 3, I put a lot of material in case study 3. The first 4 pages are what's really critical. But I gave you a really good background. McDonald's is just a fascinating company to talk about strategy with. The fourth case is on price fixing in the soap industry, and the fifth case is on Chrysler's recent turnaround. Okay. Then we have the online simulation, and in the assignments I do have the link to the company, and, so you can sign up to the simulation. I have the rounds will be processed on these dates in Eastern Standard Time. And the simulation does have an individual practice. I'm creating a separate video lecture to talk about the simulation, how to get started, and it's relatively easy to score the total points you need in the simulation to get the points you want in the class. Now, so we're going to be talking more about that later. And then finally, there is PowerPoint. I'm not going to have you, if a 15-week course, I'd have you write this big annual report paper based on running the company in a simulation. But since this is an abbreviated class, we're just going to do a PowerPoint. And we're going to do a PowerPoint that's going to be, um, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 15 slides, depending on how you want to lay it out. But just basic to the point information on the PowerPoint. And of course, we have a 30-point final exam. And the final exam assignment, I'm going to talk about a little bit while we get to it in the syllabus. Okay, so that's where the assignments are on Blackboard. Back to the syllabus. Okay, so the simulation. You have to purchase the simulation. It's from a separate software company. The link and the information is on under assignments on Blackboard. Uh, so I'm going to create a video lecture to kind of go over how to work the simulation. Then it's 6 rounds we're going to be completing. I also want you to complete a couple practice rounds just to get familiar with it. Now I'm going to do a practice round myself to show you how it works. So each I'm not gonna create teams with this class. I'm gonna have people work as an individual, and you're gonna create a company, and we're all gonna compete as individuals in the Zoom simulation. I thought about putting you guys into teams, and due to the short time frame and logistics of everybody in the class, I didn't want to burden you with trying to work with people remotely in such a short period of time. So everybody is going to be on their own here, create their own sign up to simulation, create their own team, and compete against everybody as solo individuals. Um, Now, what's great about the simulation is we can all be in one environment, so we can have 20, 30 teams competing against each other. Now, at the end of the simulation, so we're going to have 6 rounds that we're going to run on the schedule. At the end of it, you're going to create a PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint is going to be one, of course, describe your company strategy. What did you do to become successful? You know, what was your thinking when you designed the cars, when you advertised your production, your investments? Then there's some slides on the results of how you want to look at your measurements of how you did. And then some slides on your financial statements, which you can cut and paste from the simulation. And then slides on your management discussion, analysis of the financial results. So that's going to be your PowerPoint in the simulation. Now the grades. So the simulation is going to be, you can earn up to 20 points in the simulation. I have a breakdown of how the points in the simulation convert to the points in class. The simulation PowerPoint, you know, I'd say an average length of 5 to 10 slides. If you do 15 slides, you know, you can do as many slides as you want, but try to have at least between 5 and 15 as a minimum. That's going to be 15 points. Participation, 15 points. And this is going to be done through the discussion board. So the discussion board, if you're not familiar with, this also takes place on Blackboard. So you go to this link called Discussions. And on the discussion board, I'm going to post a question. And then you will answer the question. And then you'll read other students' responses to questions and reply to them. Blackboard is really slow today, so I'm going to come back to this. So now, the key thing here is if you don't participate, I think I'm going to create a series of, oh, here it is, it's back up, of 9 or so discussion questions and boards, and it tracks your post, your participation for me, so I get to see that on my side. So my first question, the day 1 question is, what company do you think has the best strategy? Why? Describe and explain. So each student is expected to post an original posting to this, hopefully 100 words or more, and then after you post, you're not done. You go in, read the other students' posts, and comment on what they said, offer suggestions, ideas. So this is basically replaces the normal discussion we'd have in the classroom, but we're doing it in the bulletin board. So I will be posting these throughout the semester. I hope that you will, I look for you as a minimum to log into Blackboard 4 times in a 7-day period, hopefully, ideally 4 different days, and post and read and reply and keep a vibrant discussion board going. I will also be reading these, replying as well, and this is part of our classroom time. This counts as, you know, the classroom time actually. So this is in lieu of sitting in a class and kind of discussing as a group, we're going to use facilitate this as that element of the class. Okay, so and I will be looking at that closely. And if you do lose a point for lack of participation, I will most likely email you and say, listen, this is why you're losing the point. Please participate more. I want to hear from you. I want to see that you're involved in the class. I don't want to feel like you're not doing anything but the bare minimum. I want you to really kind of be generous. Okay, so the mini casework, which I was talking about before, 5 mini cases, 4 points each, that will require answering various questions, and the case study papers can be between 1 to 3 pages, depending on what the questions are. You know, it could be as short as 200 words, maybe as long as 800 words. It really depends on the case. And I do have an example of the case. You can actually look at these cases now on Blackboard to see the actual cases themselves. And then there'll be an online exam for 30 points. The online exam will probably be a really easy element to the course relative to the points. I'm just going to ask questions from both textbooks, and the questions are going to be sort of, you know, here's an example. If it was from Blue Ocean, I'd say, I'd ask an open-ended question. What is Blue Ocean strategy? And give me an example of a company that successfully utilized the Blue Ocean strategy. You know, so I would ask questions to help that will I could use to judge your interpretation and understanding of the material. So it's not going to be multiple choice. It's not going to be fill in the blank. It's not going to be direct questions, you know, such as name the 5 forces of competition. It's going to be more reflective case study questions. And it's going to be done in a way that the test won't be too cumbersome. It will just be, you know, a good review and a good establishment of assessment of what we learned in the class. That's all I'm looking to do here. So I'm not looking to torture you with it, but I think that, you know, it's better than having a test in the classroom, right? I think we can all agree on that. Okay, so here's the points, the grades. Now, 94 and above for an A. That may seem tight or hard to do, but it's not going to be. I mean, this class, I really feel that, you know, majority of the class is going to be in the A and B range. And if you actually get all the assignments done and you know participate in the class, you should be able to achieve an A. What hurts people, I think, most if they miss an assignment, they don't post it by its due date. I'm pretty strict with due dates. I don't like I won't accept anything late. So make sure you keep a calendar of when things are due and post them even early, just in case the internet goes down or there's some other issue. You know, and make sure you participate in discussion boards, and I think you should do fairly well. The only place that you could lose points if you're not diligent easily is in the simulation. So there is an individual practice mode that you can keep practicing, and you can, you know, make sure that you have the skills to do well. And with this simulation, I just don't want people throwing numbers in and saying I'm done and just running through the mechanics of it and just finishing it. So that's why I'm kind of holding you to a performance level, because I want you to perform at a level where you're understanding and can do well in the simulation. And that's why I'm going to grade based on the overview points, which means that you can't just run through and set anything up and hope for the best. It means that you're going to actually have to think about your decisions, develop a strategy, and compete. I've run the simulation many times before, and I've run it with undergraduates a great deal, and it's no sweat for them to easily beat 2,500 points. So, and most of them do get within the 3,000 to 2,800 level of points in that simulation. So I don't think that's going to be too difficult. And again, there's a practice area where you can kind of work on your abilities to score the points and test out strategy. Okay. All right. So the test, which I was talking about before, I'm going to give you 72 hours to complete it, and the material will be based on the book, and it'll be essay, maybe some short answers, but mostly I'm looking for you to write out your understanding of the material. Just to reiterate, participation, each class I will have a class discussion for the most part. and using Blackboard like we discussed. And I will post questions and topics, and each student is expected to participate. If a student is unprepared or does not post or respond to the discussion board questions, they'll lose a point per class or session or discussion board session. So make sure you follow along on that. And it's really, I mean, just make it a habit. You get up in the morning, you check the discussion boards, read a few posts, make a few replies, and there'll be no problem. It shouldn't take you more, than half an hour or so, 45 minutes. And again, this is part of our class time. Okay, so the class schedule. On January 3rd, class will start. I'm going to give a class introduction. This is pretty much the introduction of the syllabus. I'm going to go over give an overview of the simulation and simulation practice rounds, which I'll post a link to. And all the links will be under course documents in Blackboard. And I'm also going to post a video lecture, Getting Ready to Do Strategy. In class 2, you're going to do, part of the classwork will be you working on the simulation and completing round 1, which is due, all the rounds are due by 11:30 p.m. But I do have a schedule that is on Blackboard that we're going to follow. That's not necessarily in the syllabus. And I'll be more clear on that and post it under announcements so it's very clear when the rounds are due. Okay. The Chapter 2, I will post a video lecture link on Chapter 2. Then on Class 3, we're going to move into Chapter 3 in the Kellogg's book. More discussion board questions will be posted. Okay, on Class 4, we're going to do round 2 of the simulation. And we're going to go into Chapter 4, measuring your competitive advantage. And on Class 5, January 10th, we're going to do Chapter 5. The competition. Of course, there's going to be I'm going to post a case study discussion, which is basically I read your case studies and I come back and I talk about what I liked about your work and discuss the case in general and just kind of give a conclusion to that casework. And more discussion board questions. Class 6, we're going to talk about competition. Round 3 will be due at 11:30 p.m. In Class 7 on January 12th, we'll start the Blue Ocean book. And I have an MP3 audio lecture set up, part 1 of 6, each an hour to an hour and a half, and that's, of course, class time. I'll also post an overview of the Blue Ocean video lecture when I go through my slides of Blue Ocean and talk about it. And there'll be some discussion board questions on it. On Class 8, we're going to do round 4 will be due by 11:30 p.m. And Blue Ocean Part 2 audio file. Chapter 17, more another case study discussion I'll post. You'll listen to Blue Ocean Part 3. Discussion board question will be posted. Class 10, January 18th, Blue Ocean Part 4 audio lecture. We'll work on round 5, and the online exam will open on the 18th, which I will close on the 20th at 10 p.m. Class 11 on 19th of January, we're going to do a case study discussion. Blue Ocean Part 5 audio lecture and more discussion board questions. And our last class on January 20th will be the final Blue Ocean MP3 audio lecture. And we'll also complete round 6 of the simulation. And that will conclude the class. Academic dishonesty. I am expecting people not to cheat, not to plagiarize, not to collude and work with each other. Everything in this class is an individual assignment. And please, as always, be ethically and academically as honest in your work and your efforts. If anybody here has any physical, psychological, medical, or learning disabilities, we do have services on campus that you can contact. And that's it. That is basically the syllabus for the course. And if you want to discuss anything about the syllabus, feel free to email me. My email is at the top of the syllabus. Also, feel free to bring up any issues during one of our Stony Brook Connect sessions that we'll have twice a week. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody. I think it's going to be a very successful class. And I look forward to you meeting everyone and talking with everyone soon.